Hello, my name is Ayeneh. Welcome to صدای دانشجو.
Hi, my name is Nora Safadi.
My name is Melody Shadenlow.
And my name is Ryan Fikrat.
And for today's topic, we will be discussing math. You either love it or you're still traumatized by your high school algebra final. But let's be honest, math is one of the most polarizing subjects out there. For some, it clicks like magic. For others, it feels like reading ancient hieroglyphics upside down and in the dark. So whether you're pre-med, pre-law, pre-dental, an engineer, a business student, or majoring in psychology, sociology, at some point math will find you. It is one of the few subjects that is required across nearly every academic discipline. There's no running. But here's a fun fact. Did you know algebra was actually originated from ancient Persia? So the word itself comes from a Persian scholar. And so, yes, math has deep roots in our culture. And today I am incredibly excited to talk about all things math, learning, and maybe a little bit of philosophy with someone who knows it inside and out. He is a professor of math and computer science who has been teaching for over 30 years at UCLA, CSUN, and various other local Los Angeles community colleges. Before teaching, he worked as an engineer, and he is a proud graduate of Sharif University in Iran. And I am lucky enough to call him Baba. Please welcome Professor Ismail Nikche.
Thank you.
Hello, Professor Nikche. It is so nice to have you on. One of the first questions I wanted to ask you is that I know a lot of students feel intimidated by math. What do you think is the root cause of that fear? And how do you think we can change how math is taught?
I can tell there are many factors involved in this. I can tell that they don't have confidence, a weak background from high school. Unfortunately, some of the high schools, they don't have good program in math, and the students end up with a weak knowledge in the math, and then in the college and university, they have difficulty. We can change this by more practice and use all the resources available for them. Like we have a tutorial center, we have tutors, tutor one-on-one, and many other also resources also available. We can form like group activities, we can form group studies, they can teach from each other. And also when I lecture, I give them examples and then change the numbers. I give them as a class activities. And I believe it's a good idea when they go home, they can see the examples, do it again one more time. And if they have any questions, they can come back and ask me. Okay, so I am available for all help. So, but most important is to believe in yourself and have patience and positive attitude so they can be successful.
Yeah, definitely. I think you touched on a lot of good points, is that a lot of times students do lack confidence when it comes to math. I know I personally experienced that. And having a different mindset and, you know, taking advantage of your resources, and also, again, like you said, math is very much depends on a lot of practice. Listening to lectures, doing those problems and examples is definitely very helpful. So I do like your answer, and I think that could help a lot of the viewers who are watching today who may have sort of a hesitancy towards math or may feel a bit intimidated by it.
Thank you.
Following along with that, how do you explain the importance of math for students who feel like they won't use it?
There are many examples, real-world examples, then we can find math. For example, if you go with your parent to mall or shopping centers and they have usually sales like 65% cells. Then as a math student, you should calculate how much you should pay at the end. A very simple example of math, I can tell that. And then if you go bank, for example, you ask for a car loan or for the mortgage, then you should know how to calculate your monthly payment. So these are very important. And also we can see math in like a CAT scan, MRI, there are lots of calculus and math involved in health, also sciences. I can tell that. So what else? The numbers also, okay? Like for example, you hear in news like 3 trillion. So it's most of the people, they don't know that. What is trillion? Trillion. So we have million, 6 zeros, we have a billion, 9 zeros, and we have trillion, 12 zeros. And goes to the quadrillion, quintillion, and goes to the biggest number I can tell is 1 and 100 zeros in front of it. And it's called the Google, Googol. It's different than from the Google, which is Google, but here Google, Googol is 1 and 100 zeros in front of it. That's the biggest number, has a name.
No, definitely. That's a really good. I didn't know that. That's interesting. You learn something new every day. Yeah, there are definitely a lot of applications in everyday life that someone would use math, and particularly I think with almost, a lot of majors also in colleges, they would need to use math. I know personally doing research, statistics is very important in that like academic field of like doing research in laboratories. So yeah, those are really great examples for sure. Do you think today's technology has affected students' learning for math better or worse?
So I can tell that, yes, it has a great effect on the students' learning. There are many online free tutorials. Students can learn from these tutorials. There is a ChatGPT, but if you use it in a good way, not the bad way. So then you can ask ChatGPT, give me, for example, 5 examples about like a trigonometry. So it's a kind of helpful, but at the same time, if you use it for the homework, post the homework, and then ChatGPT solves for us, and especially on the test, if you post test questions, get the answers, and then that's your grade. So means that this is not good, okay? So nowadays, most of the schools, they try to have the final exam in person at campus. So there are other also distractions, I can tell that nowadays for the students, like a cell phone, okay? Cell phone views like 2-3 hours a day. And then there is another distraction we have for the students is a game. Okay, some students, they play game for 6 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, like that. These are lots of distractions they have. So instead that, they can spend time to practice math and then to be successful.
Yeah, I think technology has its good and bad, and definitely on the last part you touched on, like a lot of times it could, change someone's priorities and what they value, and kind of sort of, that shows an effect in those math classes for sure, definitely.
I have a question.
Yeah, Ryan, of course.
Hi, Professor. So this is Ryan here.
Yes.
I have a question for you, or really a few. We were just talking about AI, chat GPT, and math style learning. What do you think is the immediate and then the far future of math? Are we avoiding AI and its negative consequences by pulling people in person? And then perhaps in the far future, how can we positively leverage AI to improve and facilitate math learning? Thank you.
A great question. Okay, we cannot ignore the technology, so we need to use it in the best way, not in a worse way. So I recommend that we learn it, and then we can use it as extra resources in order to improve our knowledge in a better way. And then, as you guys know, that about 25% of the time, answer for the chat from the ChatGPT is not correct. Okay, I have experience with that. And when I see like a solution by the student, I can tell right away, this is from the ChatGPT or he or she solved it. Okay, it's very simple and easy because it solves in a kind of a spatial method. And then we can tell that right away, this is from ChatGPT. So I believe technology is very good. Definitely in the future, we will have more of these kind of tools, but we need to use it in a better way and best way, not in a negative way. So I recommend that it's a good idea to learn it and then refer to the resources like ChatGPT or AI and to learn more and to improve our knowledge better.
I think like sort of using ChatGPT as your personal tutor, like have it, you know,
Exactly.
come up with questions and, you know, have it like figure out where your weaknesses are and then maybe like have it like create like a lesson plan on like, why don't I understand this? What am I missing? Or can you give me a quiz based off like my weak areas to improve on? So I think that could be the advantage there. Definitely. I agree with that. Yeah.
Another also tool, which is I need to talk about it, is a calculator. Then, unfortunately, most of the students, they use calculator right away. Believe me, I had a student in my calculus class, and he couldn't calculate 5 times 15, okay? And asked me that, can I use calculator? I said no. So calculator is good, but if we know the multiplication, we know the calculations, is good. But you know, if you use it all the time, like 3 times 4, 5 times 2, so it's not, I don't recommend it. Okay? We need to use our brain. And if we don't use our brain in the future, then when we get at older ages, we get Alzheimer's. Because we need to give practice to our brain.
It's funny when we go to restaurants, like with our friends, everyone will pull out their calculator at the end for the tip. And I make sure I don't. I want to calculate in my head to make sure I keep up my math skills.
Another example I can give is when I go to supermarket, I usually estimate. Okay, here $5, $6.50, $11. Then I get total is I should pay about $45. When I hear that the cashier tells me that $65, then I say, oh, okay, something is wrong. Then I catch it right away. Okay, so we cannot trust because some of the cashiers are trained just recent. They they are new to the job and they don't know how to use the machine and end up charging you double sometimes. Okay, so then we need to be careful.
I have a question, if that's okay. Hi, I have a question as well. What do you think is, obviously I'm assuming practice, but the best way for students and for adults to like retain these math skills, and what is like the best way that you have seen for to learn math? Is it more kind of like doing problems on the board and then they work on it themselves, or students work on it themselves, or working together? I know you kind of touched on both. So I'm curious to see like what has been the most effective.
Yeah, great question. So I can tell that by more practice, okay? The more practice, the better we understand math and we can retain the information. And then just use it, okay? So we have, like they say that if you don't use it, you lose it. Okay, so it's obvious for the math also. So we should practice it once in a while in order to retain the information. Otherwise, they forget.
As someone who studied in Iran and now teaches in the US, what are some cultural differences that you have noticed between students and how they approach math and value math?
So Iranian students value knowledge and they are good in the science, in chemistry, physics, and math. Then I can see that, okay. But here in the US, unfortunately, most of the students, they don't value the knowledge and then just depend on, okay, I passed with this C or things like that. But Iranian students are very serious. They want to be successful, go to the top level.
Yeah, education is a very like important theme in like families, and it's very education oriented, pushing that towards the students and So I do see that personally here as an Iranian American growing up and comparing like my experiences with my peers. I was also had another question. I was wondering, for students who are immigrating or are, you know, just recently moved to the U.S. from Iran, what advice do they have, would you give them for them if they're struggling with in their math classes? So I'll say this in Farsi. واسه اون گوینده‌های عزیز که تازه مهاجرت کردن از ایران چه طرز کمک میتونیم بهشون بگیم که اگه مشکل دارن توی ریاضی که کمک داشته باشن؟
برای دانشجویی که از ایران تشریف میارن و میخوان ادامه تحصیل بدن، خب میدونم که اینا ریاضیاتشون واقعا خیلی خوبه، خیلی عالی. They are good in math. The only thing they need to practice is just to learn the math terminologies. باید اصطلاحات ریاضی رو بدونن. مثلا equation میشه معادله، بعد مثلا fraction کسر، بعد numerator denominator، صورت کسر، مخرج کسر، اینا رو باید بدونن. من از یکی از دانشجوام شنیدم که گفتش که 3/75. من این ممیز رو برای سوالا نشنیده بودم. بعد گفتم چی گفتی؟ گفت 3/75. گفتم oh this is 3.75. In English we call it point. So all they need to practice math terminologies. There is a good website. It's a mattv.com, mattv.com. There are over 10,000 math tutorials available by different teachers. این وبسایت بسیار عالیه، یعنی mattv.com. اگه تشریف ببرید حدود بیشتر از 10,000 ویدیو میتونید ببینید که از مت ابتدایی شروع میشه تا به کلکولس میره و شما میتونید این اصطلاحات ریاضی رو تو این وبسایت یاد بگیرید و آماده بشید برای کلاستون. mattv.com mattv.com.
Awesome, that's great. So there's a lot of resources out there available for students of different backgrounds, whether they're struggling in math or there's a language barrier that they have access to. A lot of universities and colleges also provide these resources like tutoring as well, and it's important to take advantage of them in order to improve the math and do better and succeed in those classes. So that's a really great piece of advice I think for our viewers is that don't let the math terminology get to you. You can overcome it and you will succeed in those classes.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I guess one last question I would like to ask is that after decades of teaching, what inspires you to get up every day and teach math?
So I enjoy to help them to succeed and to achieve their goals. When I see my students is successful and is transferred to a good school, that's rewarding for me and I enjoy it. I love it to see my students are successful. And also I recommend students that if I ask them if they need a recommendation letter, I will be more than happy to prepare for them. Always, I am for them always. I'm available. Even after class, when class is over.
That is true. That is true.
So nice.
So thank you so much, Professor Nikche Babajun, for coming on today and discussing math. And you touched on a lot of great points, including having a positive mindset, taking advantage of resources, doing a lot of practice problems, and to really gain familiarity with math in general, depending on whether it's calculus, statistics. Doing more practice helps. Again, you said the brain is a muscle and using it more and more will only help you get better and overcome that fear. So thank you so much again for coming on today and I really appreciate it.
You're welcome and I thank Dr. Nawab and all people in Ayeneh who help to have this program for the students.
So in today's topic, we learned that math is not just about numbers, it's about thinking, problem solving, and learning how to learn. And sometimes it is also about patience, resilience, and having a good sense of humor about it. So whether you're someone who's passionate about math or is just trying to pass a course, I hope that our guest today has helped you build some confidence and give you some reassurance on how to approach these strategies. Do you guys have any thoughts or feedbacks, anything you guys would like to add to the conversation?
Sure. I just wanted to say that, it's pretty clear that math is non-zero sum, and even math intolerant people have a chance to relearn how they think, redefine and reshape their metacognition. If you want to flex a different part of your brain that could potentially lead to unbeknownst opportunity, math and just in like grade school is an opportunity for that.
Yeah, so I definitely think that's a really good point. Grade school even, I think the first introduction to math really plays a big role in how students end up feeling about it. I think I'm sure you guys have your own personal experiences, first introduction to math, like there maybe was a turning point where you felt a little bit differently. And what do you guys think about like having a teacher who is like willing to put in that support and make sure that every student fully understands and isn't left out?
Yeah, it's very important to start early on and have good support and good teachers as a young kid, because that instills the confidence in you and it motivates you to keep wanting to learn. And I think that like desire to learn, the desire to like grow intellectually is very important in being successful in a subject, and having that as a kid can really benefit you in the future. So I personally always really liked math because I had very good teachers, kind of like your dad.
That's sweet.
Yeah. So I was very grateful. I never really struggled with math, or I didn't lack confidence in math, whereas a lot of my peers, they felt like they couldn't succeed because they had bad experiences in the past, and it was just this big source of fear and anxiety for them. I don't know if anyone else can.
Yeah, I want to add, I think, as we progress through our education, we're going to have harder classes. We may have people who don't believe in us. I think it's important to find that person who that believes in you, and kind of like always, like if you can bring yourself back to that. Like for me, I know that my sixth grade math teacher, for example, believed in me and honestly really motivated me to do well. And even just like remembering that and how I was struggling, but knowing someone believed in me really helped me grow. Just like going back to that, I think it's like a nice little tactic to, and a growth mindset, which Ida was telling me earlier actually, is really important to build confidence up as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially in middle school and elementary school, building confidence with math is really important, and I think plays a big role in how you feel about it later in high school and in college. But this conversation was interesting today, so I'd like to thank all of you guys for joining in and asking very great questions, making great contributions. And so that's all we have for today's topic. I would like to give a huge thank you to Professor Nikja, who is also my dad, and thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time on صدای دانشجو.